I was doing some recode and I realized that it would be good to make a video about this thing over here. It's something that like it's printf debugging or printf helping me figure out how this solution works. So I did a problem, palindromic partitions, and I didn't really like my solution, so I went and I found somebody else's solution, and I'm going through and figuring out how that solution works. And while I was doing that, I made oh no. Okay, cool. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, we're still good. Okay, we still got a green checkbox. We're still good. Okay, so to figure out how the solution that they have works, I printed out this stuff, and so this video is like what exactly is this stuff, um, and yeah, what are some more details about this? So an overview of this is every time there's a function call, then everything that happens during the function call is indented a little bit more than where the function call is. So you can see that here, this is another function call. So everything that's indented uh, more than this line is stuff that happened during this function call. And then uh, in addition to that, there's within a function call, every time a variable gets assigned a value or gets the value updated, then that gets printed. And you can see here, there's also some indentation difference between this line and this line. So that's the final thing. Every time there's an if or a for or whatever, then I also increase the indentation a little bit. And so I'm going to go over how I make that happen right now. I make a function called trace, which takes in a string to print, and it will print out two spaces times whatever the number indent is. And then it'll print whatever the string is that I send in. And what I do is every time this indent variable, every time I make a function call inside of the function, I increase this variable, and then just before returning, I decrease this variable. That's what makes it so that everything inside of the function is indented a little bit more than this line. So here, this function call has all of this stuff happen during the function call. And that you can see that right here. I increase indent. I grab the global indent. I print out what the function call is. I increase the indent, and then just before any return statement, I decrease the indent. And yeah, I could probably do something like put a wrapper around each of the functions, but this is just something that I'm writing up relatively quickly, so I didn't feel like doing that. Yeah, and then so this trace takes care, the trace and the indent variable, and then this section of trace, all of that makes sure that every time there's a function call, everything inside of the function call gets indented by this much, by two more spaces than before the function call happened. So like here, there's a function call, and then all of these two spaces are because indent plus equals 1 happened right after printing this, and then indent minus equals 1 happens right here just after this and before this. So that's within a function call, but then, or sorry, that's from between function calls. And then within a function call, there's some indentation going on as well. And the indentation there is the way that I make that happen is I call trace, and then I increase the indentation just by adding some spaces. So these spaces here are like how far in should it be indented for a given call to backtrack. So here I'm inside of one if statement, so I do one indentation, which for me is two spaces. Um, and then here I have a for loop, so if I print something, which I do here, because there's a for, I indent the stuff that gets printed by two spaces, and then I have an if, so then this gets four spaces before it. So every time there's a trace, the indentation uh, for printing out a variable getting assigned a new value, as long as these are all good relative to each other within a function, then that'll give me the structure here to tell what part of the function I'm at. And then the trace and indent tells me like which function call I'm at. So like here's a function call, here's another function call, here's another function call, and so I can tell that all of this stuff happened during one call to palindparts with the string a as the argument, and then you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, it would be kind of cool to right here have the result. And a lot of times I do that, but I didn't do that yet. So I will, I'll go make that happen. So just before returning, well, I guess I do print res here. And then what about down here? Here there really isn't anything to return, but I guess, so here I do some work just before the very end, so I will change that up, result, and I'll add in trace, which has result equaling something, and then should I do that before or after indenting? I think I'll do it like this and see what that looks like. Can I reload it? Yes. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. So here is the call, and then here is the result that gets printed out just before the actual return statement. And then I could do the same thing with backtrack. I could, but backtrack is a little bit different. The return value of backtrack is put into this res variable. So really, I just need to print whenever res gets updated. Here there's a return none, and then here there's a return none as well. I guess I could just turn that like that, not like that. Anyway, so res is already getting printed in this output. Res equals, yeah. And so here's every time res gets updated. That's interesting. Does res ever get... Ah, here we go. Here's a place where res was supplied. Oh, okay. So we got geeks here. Anyway, this that's how this printing right here is something that helps me figure out how does somebody else's solution work. So the key parts are everything inside of a function gets indented a little bit more than the function call, and every time there's a variable update or assigning a value, then that gets printed out, and then every time there's logic of some sort, that also within the function increases the indentation a little bit, and then in the variable indent and the function call trace make it so that if all of those variable assignments are indented the right amount relative to each other, they also get indented the right amount relative to the function call. So that's what trace does for me, and it gives me this nice like thing where I can like read through this and get some visibility into what value do the variables have and what value what are the updates, and it's super nice. And uh,